He was just a boy when they told him. The numbness in his hand, the strange lack of pain after a wound, it wasn't nothing. It was leprosy. A death sentence, they called it. But Baldwin didn't cry. He stood quietly, staring out over the golden city of Jerusalem, and simply asked what needed to be done next. Strength, even then, was not in his limbs. It was in his eyes. Most kings rise through power or birthright. Baldwin rose through necessity. At 13 years old, barely able to grip a sword, he was crowned king of Jerusalem. The nobles in the court saw only a sick boy draped in velvet. They whispered doubts, exchanged glances. But Baldwin listened. He studied. And slowly, he turned their doubt into obedience, not by fear, but by force of mind. Saladin was rising in the east. More than a warrior, he was a strategist, a ruler, a visionary. When Saladin's forces threatened the kingdom, it was Baldwin who rode to meet him. At Montgisard, in 1177, vastly outnumbered and weakened by disease, Baldwin led a surprise attack. He was carried on horseback, face pale, hands wrapped in cloth. But he was there. And under his banner, the Crusaders struck a blow so fierce that even Saladin was forced to retreat. The sick boy had won. But no victory comes without a cost. Baldwin's body continued to fail him. His hands curled, his face stiffened, his sight began to fade. Yet every day he ruled. When others would have hidden behind their affliction, Baldwin stood before his council and demanded truth, not flattery. His greatest weapon was not the sword, but his clarity. He saw what others could not, that the enemy was not only at the gates, it was within the court. He tried to hold them together. Reynald of Chatillon, brutal and impulsive. Guy of Lusignan, ambitious but blind. The Knights Templar, proud and powerful. The Church, divided by politics. Baldwin navigated them all, keeping Jerusalem intact through balance and diplomacy. He held Saladin at bay not just with force, but with wisdom. Where others cried for holy war, Baldwin kept the fragile peace. As the years passed, his body withered, but his will did not. He could no longer walk, could barely speak. But when he appeared in public, face veiled, robes flowing, attendants at each side, his presence still commanded silence. He was a ghost of a man, and yet a ghost who ruled. Knowing his time was short, Baldwin named a child heir, his nephew, and built a regency to guide him. But ambition, once again, proved louder than wisdom. His enemies ignored his dying wishes. They wanted power, not stability. The alliances he had so carefully built began to crack. Baldwin watched, helpless, as the foundation he held together began to tremble. When he died in 1185, there were no grand parades. His funeral passed quietly through the city streets. The people mourned. But in the palace, the knives were already being unsheathed. Guy of Lusignan, once denied by Baldwin, seized control. Within 2 years, Saladin would return. Jerusalem would fall. They had mocked the Leper king. And yet, it was under his reign that Jerusalem stood. It was after his death that it was lost. And this, more than anything, is his legacy. Baldwin IV ruled not with might, but with vision. He was broken in body, but not in spirit. While others chased glory, he clung to justice. While others plotted for power, he gave his away for the future. He was a king who had every reason to despair and every reason to inspire. His lesson is simple, but eternal. True strength has nothing to do with flesh. It is measured in courage, in discipline, in the quiet will to rise and rule even as the world turns away. Baldwin's body failed him, but his vision held a kingdom together until they let it go.